Good to see everybody here. We'll go straight to our first question tonight. Will be Frank.
Who do you trust more playing their position next season? Sidney Brown or Keely Ringo?
Probably say Keely Ringo. I'm just not sure about Sidney Brown. Even when he came out, he hasn't played a lot of football. Obviously, Ringo hasn't either. I didn't love Ringo coming out either, but I think it would be Ringo if I really had to make a tough decision there. If they were to start the season today, well, we don't know about Adoree Jackson, who they signed, but I think they would love for Ringo to be the guy. But again, now you have to go through OTAs and mini camp and training camp and the whole deal.
Obviously, the top two tight ends are Loveland and Warren. Yeah. Outside of them, is there anyone that you could see as being a good fit for Philadelphia?
I particularly like Elijah Arroyo because I think he's a vertical dimension. I don't think the Eagles have that right now. I don't know how they feel about him. He was asked to block because they did run the ball in a power run game with Damian Martinez in Miami. So Arroyo was asked to block. Is he the best blocking tight end? No, but he was asked to make the kinds of blocks that are required in an NFL run game. Mason Taylor is another guy that is a really good prospect. I don't think he was used to the full amount of his ability at LSU, and I can't speak to why that is the case.
You mentioned in particular J.J. McCarthy. You said that there was things with his footwork and his mechanics inside the pocket that concerned you out of Michigan. And in one preseason game with the Raiders, you saw a vast improvement.
The Vikings.
The Vikings. I think it was against the Raiders. What exactly were the issues that you saw? And what exactly is the improvement that you saw?
The way it works in the NFL, there's 3-step drops, there's 5-step drops, and there's 7-step drops. Now, in the gun, those things change, but the timing remains the same. And you have to match up your footwork and your drops with the route concepts. He didn't do a great job of that at Michigan for whatever reason. Then, and I happen to know Kevin O'Connell very well, and he's obviously a really good coach, and he's been with Kyle Shanahan, he's been with Sean McVay, so he's been with some of the best teachers of quarterbacks in the NFL. So I watched the preseason game, and all of a sudden I'm seeing really clean footwork. It tells me two things. Number one, Kevin was coaching it, and number two, McCarthy was receptive to it. You have to be receptive to this stuff.
Has there ever been a player that you can recall who you're not looking for them, you're watching someone else, but they just keep showing up on the tape?
One guy who's in this year's draft, but I noticed him as a freshman when I was watching other players who were coming out on that same team, and it just popped into my head because it's happening now. So 2 years ago, I'm watching South Carolina's defense, and they had Zach Pickens came out. They had a couple other guys, and all of a sudden I'm noticing this safety, Nick Emmanwori. And I'm looking at this kid and I'm like, who is this guy? I didn't even know who he was other than his name. And so I looked him up and saw he was a true freshman. And he just kept showing up. And I'm like, oh, I got to be aware of this guy because this guy, he's going to be like a legit prospect. Like, I personally think he's the best safety prospect in the draft.
Do you think he's scheme specific to maximize
Tyler
his
Warren?
potential? Yeah, Tyler Warren.
It's funny you say that because his tape does not automatically suggest that he's a big-time separator versus man coverage because you didn't see a lot of that. So, again, I'm not working him out individually, Phil. So, I'm not doing the things that teams do. But you're right. The tape does not show necessarily that particular trait. You'd have to assume just because he's a good athlete, although he's not a special athlete, that he could do it. He was physical at the top of his route stem. The tape showed great hands, the kind of an imposing ability to make tough contested catches where contact didn't bother him at all. But you're right. I mean, you didn't see those kinds of things. So we have to wait and see on that. But he's, such a physical specimen, and he made so many tough catches that, he's a hard guy to ignore.
Just Colston Loveland versus Mason Taylor, like how close as prospects do you rate them?
I would say I like Loveland more. Loveland to me looks like a big wideout. I remember watching him last year when they obviously had a better passing game when I watched him last summer. And this year he still led them in receptions, but they did not have a very good quarterback situation. So it was kind of a different passing game. But he's truly a receiver, this kid. I mean, he blocks. You have to block at Michigan. So it's not as if he can't block, and he gave excellent effort. Loveland is a lowercase Brock Bowers type player. He's not Brock Bowers, but he's that kind of player. He's truly a great receiver. I mean, he's got length, he's got effortless fluid movement, he's got play speed, he's got flexibility, he's got verticality. I mean, he's got the profile that you just look at and go, this guy is a really good receiver, and he's a true 3-level dimension. Taylor can do those things, but he's not quite at the same level as Loveland. Loveland's at a higher level than Taylor.
Who's somebody that maybe has been going a little under the radar?
One of my favorite backs in the draft is Damian Martinez. I really like Damian Martinez. I watched him last summer at Oregon State. I watched him this year at Miami. You know, to me, he's a true foundation back. You know, again, he's not necessarily a great receiver, and I'm not thinking in terms of that right now, but just in terms of a guy you line up and your offense can, I don't want to say it works through him, but it can. He's that kind of runner. One is fascinating because he's only played running back for 1 year, but he's a really interesting guy. So my sense is he'll be ascending, and that is Brashard Smith out of SMU.
I think he's kind of asking you about the depth of the draft.
Yeah, the
First
depth of
all,
the draft. You see it being a large draft of pool of talent.
Yeah.
Through rather than like the really high-end players at the front.
Yeah, there are. I mean, this is a really good D tackle draft, and you know, obviously guys are different, so it all depends on what you're specifically looking for. But yeah, there's really good. I mean, the assumption would be that Graham's going to go as the first guy taken. He's a clean player. I personally think Walter Nolan is the most physically talented. There's other issues there, you know, which we're not going to get into, but I think Nolan is a man's man. He's a power 3 technique. He's really a good prospect. But then you get into a lot of guys who are different. You get into the Derek Harmons, the Kenneth Grants, the Tyleek Williams. TJ Sanders is a really good prospect. One guy from the University of Texas, Alfred Collins, if he could reach, you know, his ultimate ceiling, this guy's a freak. He's 6'6", 332. His arms are like close to 36 inches. So, I mean, you know, you have Joshua Farmer from Florida State, who I think is a really good prospect. There's a lot of D tackles in this draft. I mean, Jamari Caldwell from Oregon is another really good tackle prospect. It depends whether you're looking for a guy that's going to play on, you know, in your base defense as a run defender. It depends if you're looking for a pass rusher. You know, it just depends on what you want.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good one. Greg, thank you.
Appreciate it, guys. Great questions
stuff.
tonight.